The Dominion landers came screaming through Valdar 3's atmosphere like burning gods. Engines flared against the twilight sky, their angular hulls bristling with scanners and weaponry. Captain Elias Mercer lay prone in the moss-thick undergrowth, unmoving, heart steady. Above him, the forest canopy stretched high and tangled, gnarled trunks streaked black with rain, veined leaves glinting faintly with the moon's reflection. This place wasn't just wilderness. It was a weapon waiting to be used. Eyes on Vanguard dropship cluster. Coordinates marked, Elias whispered into his throat mic. His words barely disturbed the air. From unseen positions, soft affirmations clicked back in response. No names. No chatter. Ghost protocol. Through his visor, he watched the Dominion soldiers deploy, tall reptilian Sarthics in polished armor, multi-eyed Tarsuan techs scanning the forest with drone swarms buzzing like angry steel hornets. Over it all strode General Vorik Threx, wreathed in his shimmering energy shield. Threx's voice crackled across the open comms, broad frequency, taunting. "Humans," Threx sneered, his accent sharp and dripping contempt. "Hiding in dirt and stick. Your camouflage is obsolete." A pause. Laughter from his soldiers. Elias's lips barely twitched. Let them laugh. He shifted his rifle an inch. Slow, precise, invisible. The barrel's surface adjusted to the bark beside it, nanothreads blending pattern and color. Motionless, it might as well have been part of the tree. A Dominion scout trudged into view below, armored boots squelching in the wet soil. He paused near Mercer's position, tapping at his wrist display, deploying a small thermal drone that spun lazily overhead. Elias didn't move. Not a twitch. Not a blink. The scout frowned, turning. Wuff. A whisper of displaced air. The Dominion soldier crumpled silently, a microdart lodged beneath his jawline, nerve toxin already shutting him down. Mercer keyed his comm again. 1 down. 0 alerts. Another soft click of acknowledgement. Farther out, Sergeant Kira Holt shifted in her perch 20 feet up a thick-boughed tree. Her camo suit shimmered faintly, adjusting to the swaying leaves around her. "Shade," she whispered, using Mercer's call sign. "Movement north. Patrol, 5 strong. Heavy scanners." Mercer's response was instant. "Mark. Observe only. Patience won wars." Below, the 5 Dominion soldiers tromped forward in arrogant formation, trusting their tech, their scanners, their armor. Trusting all the wrong things. Hours passed like mist. The Dominion pushed deeper, growing more agitated. Drone feeds blurred and blinked out. Scanners reported false heat signatures. Phantom soldiers that weren't there. One patrol circled for nearly 40 minutes before returning to camp with nothing but sweat and frayed nerve. Threx's command post crackled with anger. "They burrow like rodents," Threx snapped, pacing near his shielded tent. "We'll smoke them out." He gestured to his aide. "Begin burning sectors." Elias heard it all. "Predictable. Target of opportunity," Holt murmured later, her voice calm. Mercer adjusted his scope. Dominion tech officer. No helmet. No shield. Head bent over a glowing console linked to their atmospheric drone. Elias's finger settled on the trigger. The shot wasn't loud. No grand explosion. Just a soft thip as the projectile exited the barrel, its surface coated in refractive gel. The tech officer slumped forward, dead before he hit the dirt. Confusion rippled through the Dominion line. "Sniper fire! Find the trajectory!" someone barked. Scanners lit the area with waves of energy, bouncing off trees, rocks, false heat spots planted hours ago by Mercer's team. Results? Nothing. Nowhere. Ghosts. Night crept over Valdar, 3 like a living thing. Fog pooled in low valleys. Insects hummed their alien songs. The forest seemed to swallow sound itself. Mercer watched Threx pace inside his shield bubble. The general's voice was edged with frustration now. "Primitive tactics. Crude tricks. They can't hide forever." Elias allowed himself a rare whisper. "We're not hiding." Hours later, the first real message from the humans arrived. Not on a transmission, not through hack systems, but pinned, with precise, terrifying care, to the chest plate of a dead Dominion soldier found hanging upside down from a tree limb. A strip of cloth, rough-stitched, painted in human script. "You're already surrounded." General Threx stared at it in silence, his jaw tightening. His soldiers, once dismissive, now cast wary glances at every tree, every shadow. Movement blurred in the corner of their vision, always nothing when checked. They slept in shift. They jumped at wind. Mercer lay on his belly near a cliff ridge, overlooking the Dominion's primary staging ground. Sergeant Holt ghosted beside him, her voice low. "They're starting to believe in monsters." Mercer didn't smile. "Not really." "Good," he replied. "Let's show them what believing costs." By dawn, the Dominion had lost 7 patrols. 0 bodies recovered. 0 traces found. Their drones failed. Their scanners lied. Their commanders argued. High above them, wrapped in mud, moss, and patient silence, human eyes watched. And waited. Because on Valdar 3, camouflage wasn't dead. Camouflage had just evolved. The Dominion soldiers were no longer advancing. They were retreating. Slowly, cautiously, like beasts realizing too late that they had wandered into a hunter's trap. Elias Mercer watched them from his ridge perch, still as the stone beneath him. Morning mist curled low through the jungle basin, coiling around boots and gun barrels. Down below, General Threx stood outside his shimmering shield dome, barking orders with forced confidence. Collapse search teams inward. Defensive posture. Cover all approach vectors. No more patrol losses. His soldiers obeyed, but Elias could read it in their body language. Fear. Not panic, not yet. But fear. "Shade," Sergeant Holt whispered over comms. "They're boxing up. No more free targets." Mercer considered. Good. Time to start moving them. He keyed a brief signal. Across the jungle, his team activated their next layer of misdirection. Old Earth tech, simple but brutally effective. Portable audio loop. Human sounds. Footstep. Gear shifting. The occasional whispered phrase in English, projected carefully to bounce through the forest. It was bait. And the Dominion bit hard. A squad peeled away from Threx's camp, drawn toward a faint metallic click echoing through the mist. Weapons up, scanners active, nerves fraying. Human audio detected. Quadrant 3. Move in. Their search pattern was textbook. But textbooks didn't matter here. Elias tracked them from above, marking positions. Then, snap. A Dominion soldier dropped, a silent tripline yanking him 10 feet into the air, suspended like fresh kill. The rest spun, firing wildly into the trees. Nothing there. Motion sensor mines triggered next. Not to kill, but to blind. Bursts of flash and smoke cascaded through their ranks, sending the squad stumbling back toward camp in utter disorder. Holt's voice crackled softly. "Like spooking cattle." Mercer replied without humor. "Drive them where we want." By late afternoon, Threx's troops had bunched tight, ringed by turrets and motion barriers. Safe. Or so they thought. But Mercer's plan wasn't about the jungle anymore. It was about control. And fear was control. On cue, Specialist Han's voice came through the comms. "Calm. Focused. Payloads in position." Mercer's mouth set into a line. "Execute." 25 seconds later, the Dominion perimeter lit up, not with explosions, but with something far worse to them. Darkness. Every portable light, every HUD visor, every drone feed, dead. EMP mines, tuned specifically to fry Dominion tech. Their over-reliance on electronics now left them blind. The jungle, Mercer's jungle, swallowed them whole. From the shadows, Holt murmured, "They're deaf, blind, and boxed in." Mercer gave the order. "Begin extraction." One by one, human operatives moved through the disoriented Dominion ranks like phantoms. No gunfire. No shouting. Just surgical, precise eliminations. Throat darts. Silence takedowns. Bodies vanished before their squadmates even noticed. Panic began to bloom. Threx stormed through the center of his shrinking camp, roaring orders. Thermal mode. Fall back. Full sensor sweep. But the EMP pulse had crippled more than just optic. It had erased their certainty. And in war, certainty was survival. Mercer moved with lethal economy. Target. Approach. Neutralize. A Dominion officer gurgled out his last breath behind him, crumpling soundlessly into the moss. Another enemy turned just in time to see his squad mate dragged backward into the foliage. No shape. No faces. Just absence. Just ghost. Then came the message. Not broadcasted. Not spoken. Projected, clear and unmistakable, across the front of Threx's shield tent. Large human letters, burning like coals in the darkness. We see you. Silence fell over the Dominion rank. Utter, shivering silence. Threx stood very still. When he spoke, his voice had lost its mockery. They are primitives, he hissed, but it sounded more like a prayer. Nothing but cunning beasts. A voice answered from the darkness, Mercer himself, filtered through directional speakers. Not mocking. Cold. True. You never fought humans in our element, General. A pause. Now you have. Across the perimeter, Holt checked in. Remaining enemy strength, 36 active. Cohesion, broken. Mercer's reply was simple. Collapse the pocket. The end came fast. Smoke bombs rolled through Dominion lines. Auto turrets, reprogrammed by Han, turned on their former masters. Confusion reigned. By nightfall, only Threx and a handful of survivors remained, boxed in near the center, surrounded by stillness. Real stillness. No more taunting sounds. No more visible movement. Just the unbearable weight of waiting. Then Elias Mercer stepped into view. No mask. No distortion. Just a human, muddy, scarred, rifle slung low. Visible because he chose to be. Threx stared at him like a man seeing death wearing human skin. You fight like shadows. Mercer's voice was steady. No. He let the jungle speak for him. The creak of settling branches, the breath of wind, the faint hum of insects returning to their hunting ground. We are shadows. General Threx had survived more battles than he cared to count. But nothing like this. He stood inside the shrinking perimeter of his shattered camp, silent, empty, gutted like a carcass in the mud. The jungle pressed in from all sides. No more drones. No scanners. No satellites above to comfort him with cold data. Just earth. Just dark. His second-in-command, Varric, limped to his side, blood streaking down his armor. General, Varric rasped, they've taken out every squad. No trace left behind. Like ghosts. Threx didn't answer immediately. He stared at the faint message still burning across the battered remains of his shield projector. We see you. Simple words. But more terrifying than artillery. Gather whoever's left, Threx ordered, voice low. We're breaking out. To where? Varric asked bleakly. Anywhere but here. Minutes later, 12 Dominion soldiers, all that remained from an original force of over 200, stood huddled in formation. Exhausted. Shaken. Most had discarded their power armor. It made them too loud, too obvious. The irony bit deep. Once, they laughed at the crude fabric the humans wore. Camouflage nets, ghillie suits, things fit for ancient hunters, not galactic warfare. Now, the jungle owned them. Threx activated his last working beacon, a slim, low-tech signal reserved for emergencies. A distress ping, narrow band, short range. Not for reinforcements, no. Just to mark his own position. If these humans wanted his head, they would come for it. And he would meet them face to face. Ready weapons, Threx commanded. His soldiers raised rifles, shakily, but ready. They didn't have long to wait. The jungle shifted. Not loud. Not fast. Just inevitable. Shapes moved between the trees, too subtle for Dominion eyes trained to track glowing armor or powered suit. Instead, shadows flowed forward, human snipers in adaptive camouflage, sliding through foliage like water. No war cries. No insults. Just silence and precision. Varric cursed under his breath. They're everywhere. A whisper answered, Elias Mercer's voice through hidden speakers. Not everywhere. Pause. Just exactly where we need to be. The first Dominion soldier dropped without even a sound. A tranquilizer dart, painless, instant blackout. Threx's line wavered. Then the next. And the next. Fall back! Threx shouted. But there was nowhere to go. Holt's team cut off their flank, rifles raised. Specialist Han disabled the beacon with a single silenced shot. Light died. Hope died with it. Threx raised his sidearm, a sleek Dominion plasma pistol, and aimed squarely at the shadow emerging from the jungle ahead. Elias Mercer. No armor. Just earth-stained camo, ghillie netting, dirt smeared across his face. Human. Terrifyingly human. You think you've won, Mercer? Threx's voice cracked like brittle glass. You think fear wins wars? Mercer stepped closer, unafraid. I think knowing your enemy wins wars. A small, grim smile. You didn't know us. Threx fired. A clean shot, center mass. But Mercer wasn't there. Just his ghost, a thermal decoy unit flickering out as the real Mercer circled right. By the time Threx turned, the cold barrel of a human rifle pressed against the back of his head. Mercer's final words were quiet. Humans didn't invent camouflage, General. He leaned in. We perfected it. Threx froze. Pride warred with survival in his mind. He was a Dominion general, a conqueror of worlds, reduced to prey in the mud. He lowered his weapon. Hours later, when the extraction team arrived, they found the surviving Dominion soldiers bound, sedated, and lined up neatly at the edge of the clearing. Alive, beaten, broken, and staring wide-eyed into the trees, afraid to even blink. Their leader, General Threx, knelt in the mud, stripped of rank and arrogance alike. Colonel Reeves, commanding officer of Earth's Jungle Warfare Division, approached Mercer at the extraction point. Clean operation, Reeves remarked. High Command didn't believe we could pull it off without heavy losses. Mercer just stared back toward the jungle, thoughtful. They didn't believe in us either. Reeves gestured toward the Dominion prisoners. What do you call this little piece of hell you built out here? Mercer's response was calm. A lesson. Reeves chuckled. Lesson in what? Mercer's eyes were hard beneath the camouflage paint. That in Earth's jungles. A pause. No one hunts humans. The Dominion's defeat on Earth wasn't recorded in glorious battle logs or heroic songs. It was whispered, passed around dimly lit war rooms and cold, quiet barracks far from the jungles of Earth. A warning. Weeks later, Elias Mercer stood on a ridge overlooking the now abandoned Dominion forward base. Vines crawled over metal husk. Jungle roots split armored panels like they were nothing more than paper. Nature didn't gloat. It simply reclaimed. Beside him, Specialist Han adjusted her rifle sling. Think they'll come back? She asked. Mercer didn't answer right away. He studied the landscape, green, tangled, alive. They might, he said finally. But they won't make the same mistake twice. Han's brow furrowed. Underestimating us? Mercer shook his head. Showing up at all. Far away, in the Dominion core worlds, General Threx sat alone in a sterile interrogation chamber. Not a prisoner anymore. But not exactly free either. Admiral Kareth, Dominion intelligence, paced slowly around him. You were given overwhelming force, Kareth said. Technology beyond their comprehension. Resources beyond measure. Threx's jaw tensed. They didn't fight like soldiers. Then what were they? Threx looked up, eyes hollow. Predators. The footage from Earth played across the walls. Grainy. Fragmented. The best Dominion scanners could recover. Shots of moving foliage. Blurred shapes. Infrared ghosts slipping between sensor pulses. Every Dominion warrior neutralized without wasted effort. Not slaughtered. Hunted. Camouflage, Kareth muttered half to himself. Primitive. Threx's laugh was bitter. You still don't get it. He leaned forward, voice low. They didn't use camouflage. Kareth frowned. Explain. Threx's eyes were dead serious. They became it. Back on Earth, Colonel Reeves was giving his report to Terran High Command via secure uplink. Mercer stood nearby, arms folded, silent as always. We didn't beat them with superior weapons, Reeves said plainly. We didn't outgun them. Admiral Faulkner, grizzled and skeptical, raised a brow. Then how? Reeves looked over at Mercer. With patience. With discipline. With understanding of our terrain. He paused. And with men like Mercer, who know that being unseen isn't about fancy tech. It's about becoming part of the world you're in. Faulkner leaned back. Camouflage warfare, he mused. A dying art. Mercer spoke for the first time. Not dying, he corrected quietly. Evolving. Across the galaxy, stories spread. Not from human mouth, but from the terrified whispers of Dominion soldiers returned from Earth. Entire war forums debated it. Mercenary boards buzzed with rumor. They called it the Phantom War. No official records. No clean data. Just stories of humans who could vanish into nothing. Leave no tracks. No sound. No hope. Some dismissed it. Old soldiers knew better. Like Captain Drass of the Kith Marauders, a veteran mercenary. He sat in a shadowed cantina, spinning a battered human ghillie suit token in his claws. Doesn't matter what you see, Drass told a younger warrior. If you fight them down there, in the jungles, you're already dead. The younger soldier scoffed. They're just soft-worlders with cloth tricks. Drass leaned in. So were their snipers on Verdun 3. My entire platoon laughed at the stories. A grim look. I'm the only one left to laugh. Meanwhile, Mercer's team stood at the edge of deployment again. A new planet. A new threat. But the same humans. Same doctrine. Adapt. Disappear. Control fear, your own and theirs. Han grinned as she secured her camo gear. Ready to go, Ghost Boss? Mercer gave a rare, faint smile. Always. Colonel Reeves gave them the final nod. Remember, out there, the Dominion thinks power means noise, tech, and firepower. He paused. But you know the truth. Mercer's team moved silently into the wilderness, swallowed by green. Real power, Mercer whispered, is the kind they never see coming. Far away, in the quiet halls of Dominion High Command, a final report sat unread on Kareth's desk. The title was short, blunt, unsettling. Human Camouflage Warfare, Threat Level Reassessment. Beneath it, in Threx's own battered words, a stark closing line. You can fight what you see. You can even fight what you hear. But you cannot fight what you cannot find. And scrawled beneath that, barely legible, pray they never come looking for you. Humanity had learned to hide. The galaxy was learning to fear it.